The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your day, especially given the fact that today is election day. Hopefully, everybody's exercised their right to vote. And if you haven't, you're going to later. And I'm going to start off by really giving you guys my political views to hopefully sway you guys. I'm kidding, obviously. All right. So seriously, thank you guys. We're going to talk today about production management and some of the manufacturing offerings that ScanForce has. I'm going to go ahead and, well, first of all, introduce myself here. I'm Steve Showalter, and I am the Director of Sales and a partner here at ScanForce. The agenda for today, I'm going to go over an introduction for ScanForce. A lot of you may know who we are. A lot of you may not, so I just want to make sure I don't gloss over that. Also going to quickly touch on the solutions we offer. Then I'm going to start focusing on what we offer for specifically manufacturing. Going to touch on production management module highlights, and then do a demo, and then open it up for some questions. I'm going to go through some of these slides pretty quickly. We're going to make this available to everybody, so you will be able to go ahead and review these after this if you wanted to go back. First part of this, just introducing ScanForce. Really what we are is a company that develops mobile solutions that run on Android and iOS devices, and really it's that seamless integration into ERP systems, specifically for this, Sage 100. And really, it goes through just a little bit here of our background. You know, this isn't something that we started doing yesterday. ScanForce has been around, tried and tested solution. We have many, many installs. One bullet point here I do want to point out is the way our solutions are written is, yes, they are as real time as you want them to be, but our solutions do function in a disconnected environment, which truly makes them all mobile. If you're disconnected, ScanForce has the ability to also allow you to have instant data validation and even data lookups. And then obviously to send data back to your system, you need to be connected, but it makes it extremely mobile. You're never stuck if somebody walks out of wireless range. And just these are a list of some of our notable customers. Let's talk quickly about the overall offerings that ScanForce has. Again, I'll go quickly through this. The first one here, WMS. This pertains to, I'll say, distribution mostly, you know, shipping, receiving, doing things like inventory counts. And there's 3 versions we offer, and they get more feature rich as you go along, from fundamentals all the way up to premium. We have label printing. These days, most things are barcoded, and ScanForce and all of our solutions allows you to scan an alias number. So you can scan existing barcodes on products, even if that doesn't match up with your item number. You can save those as aliases and use those. But we still come across quite a few companies that do want to print off their own labels, and you can do that directly from the mobile screens, whether it's receiving, when you're making something, or when you're shipping it out. If you have compliance labels, you can do that right from the mobile device, designing labels to look however you want. You're also not limited by just printing from the mobile programs. We offer the ability to print from within Sage as well. We have a mobile sales app, just creating orders and invoices, printing them, emailing them. Most people are emailing this day, and even credit card processing from the device and a signature capture. Now, manufacturing, again, why we're here today, I'm going to go over these, but we have bill of materials. We still support our work order automation solution, and then production management, which also works with the DSD ScanForce multi-event solution. Quickly going through, these are pretty important to us, though. What sets us apart from other solutions on the market? So the first thing is speed. A lot of you have probably seen this. Don't mean to be too redundant with this, but it also is a big thing that ScanForce is very good at, and we've worked very hard on, which is making a solution that is not only easy to use, but it's fast. You don't want a solution like this slowing you down in the warehouse. And this million record challenge is something where we just loaded 1 million records, and when you scan a transaction on the device and scan, for example, an item, the return rate, which tells you, yes, it's a valid scan or not, is less than 0.03 of a second. So it's virtually instantaneous versus scanning something and then having to sit there. Even for 1 second can slow you down out in a warehouse. So as we say here, speed equals productivity and savings. Another thing is intuitive software. On the devices, it has to be easy to understand and use. You can't have somebody saying, you know, what am I doing in this screen? What is it looking for next? Our training on the mobile side of things is virtually non-existent because it is so intuitive. You give somebody a scanner, they can use it instantly. And the last thing here is our support. And that goes from not only just general support questions that somebody may have and having a fully accessible staff behind that, but also on the development side of things. We do all of our development in-house, which makes us extremely agile and reactive to requests, whether it's custom programming, or maybe there is something that got screwed up where we need to fix that. It can be escalated very quickly and easily and resolved very fast. So that's one of the other things there as far as our development is concerned. Now, let's get into the manufacturing. So the offerings we have, mentioned it briefly, is bill of materials, which is through production entry automation, work order, and production management. This is just a quick slide here. Those of you that joined us back in February saw this as well. These are just some of the customers that you may recognize, the brands that are utilizing ScanForce with manufacturing. We've been doing manufacturing for quite some time, and just recently, in the last year here with the update to production management, it's allowed us to really start to focus on this. But let's take a step back. We've always had bill of materials. Let's talk about what we have there and are still seeing quite a few people use. So bill of materials automation, you can use this with or without multi-bin. What it does is allows you to capture that production entry from your mobile device out there on the actual shop floor. We have two methods for this. So one would be backflushing components. And on the device, it's going to basically say, what are you making? How many are you making? And then when you send it back to your Sage system, it's going to backflush those components. We also have what we call component selection. That's where the user chooses the components. So on the device, it's going to go ahead and have the user say, how many are you making? Well, what are you making? How many are you making? And then force the user to go get those components based on the bill. And what that does is it validates the items and the quantity. If components are lot serial, it's going to validate that as well. We also have some enhancements that allow more people to utilize bill of materials that wouldn't ordinarily be able to do so. The first one here is a bill of materials picking. So we call it bomb pick, right? So what this is it allows you to stage these components or raw materials to be used for production. Think of it like staging a sales order for items that are about to be then shipped out. This allows you to accurately go get all of your components, have them sitting there, and now they're available for that backflushing method, for example, but you know that you accurately picked them. And what you can do is when you stage them, you're staging them to a warehouse or a bin. So in multi-bin, you can utilize a bin. You know, typically we have them set up as like a production bin, or in warehouse, without multi-bin, you can leverage an additional warehouse to go ahead and transfer these items to. The last enhancement we have is what we call adjust final output. And this just allows you to change what you said you were going to make based on your final output. We have some customers that say, hey, I'm going to make 100 of these items, but they ended up coming out with 102. Well, prior to sending that back to your Sage system, you can then adjust that, and it'll go ahead and enter into your Sage system accordingly. All right, so the work order automation, not going to spend a ton of time on this one. I'm just going to list these out here. So what we have, and again, are still supporting is works with or without multi-bin, material issues, completions, and then labor tracking. And we also have the ability to automatically release a work order there. Now, I'm going to hit on this a little bit later, but I'll mention it first here. If somebody has our work order automation currently, or maybe you, let's say, aren't ready to go into production management and you buy work order automation from us right now, you can migrate on to production management when you're ready at zero cost to you. All right, now let's get into why we're here, production management automation. So just like with the other solutions, it integrates and works with the DSD ScanForce multi-bin. The transactions available are material issues, completions, labor, and we have two options for labor. You have a time clock, and you also have data entry. So the time clock is a clock in, clock out, and data entry is, as you'll see in the demo in a little bit here, that is simply just stating, hey, I worked this long on this particular job and in this particular step. We also have some special pricing that I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit. Now, let's talk for a minute before we get into the demo of our software here. What is production management? You know, we come across a lot of companies that maybe aren't familiar with even what work order was and really aren't familiar with what production management is. So it gets a little confusing in terms of where a bill of materials apply versus production management. So first and foremost, it's a module in Sage 100, and it replaced the work order module. One of the key things here is it allows you to do multi-step production. So where it's different than bill of materials, so production entry within bill of materials, and forgive me if I call production entry and production management, I might screw those up. I'm gonna try to catch myself. But so production entry in bill of materials is a one-step production. So you can tell Sage, if you're manually entering that, or our mobile program for that, what you're gonna make, how many, and then obviously, as I mentioned already, as far as the components, you can go component by component or bypass that if you're back flushing, and you're done, that's it. So it's just the finished items added to inventory, the components are removed from inventory. Again, kind of a one-step entry there. So with production management, it's a more sophisticated production. You're able to enter the work tickets. They also can be called work orders still, but you're entering your work tickets, and that has a list of what needs to be made. So you're tracking what's needed. You're able to plan ahead there and then release it when you're ready. The components, or what would be the material issues, you can actually get those out of inventory before the final product is made. So it's really, as we have here, more realistic for long production cycles. I'm taking items out of inventory and seeing that before that finished product is even put into inventory. The ability to track labor. Bill of materials, you can't do that. With production management, you can track labor from an individual employee or crew times, and it just allows you to have better cost tracking. The final step there as far as a production would be doing a completion, and that's where now that finished good actually goes into inventory. Couple of highlights here. So we labeled this flexible production. So you can create a work ticket for several reasons. You're building stock or sales order or for subcomponents. And the screenshot here just shows you and highlighted down there where you can actually make a production ticket or a work ticket, I'm sorry, for a specific sales order. The next side of this would be actually tracking steps. Again, think back to bill of materials, you can't do that. So this allows you to actually create different steps and track that for a multi-step production. So it allows you to do production planning and checklists, and you can actually require different materials for each individual step. You also are able to go ahead and designate whether you want to backflush or auto issue materials or labor. So we have some customers that are simply doing the completion, and that'll automatically then backflush the, again, labor if you have that assigned to that, or materials as well. You don't have to do that in each individual step. Just an example to kind of maybe tie this all together. If you're building something like a computer, right, you're going to issue out the parts once they've been taken out of the box and are installed. So again, you are able to go ahead and assign items, the raw materials or components, to the actual work ticket as you're using them. You're able to track the labor all along the way as well. And you can do this once again through multiple steps, and multiple people could be working on this one. That completion doesn't happen until the actual computer is built in this instance. So naturally, you don't want to see that computer in inventory until it's done, but you might want to track that all the items are being used to make that computer. This is a screenshot of what you're going to see here in a minute. Once again, we have material issues, completions, and labor tracking. And you'll notice under labor tracking, there is time clock. So those are those two methods that we have to capture labor. One of the last slides I'm getting to here is advantages or pain points that we see our customers leveraging here. So there's that flexibility. So you have your warehouse people that are out there and they're able to actually track their activity at that point of activity, not just after a fact back at a PC. So it can be from a mobile device, or we see a lot of people setting it up on either a PC out there in the warehouse or shop floor, or even a stationary tablet with a Bluetooth scanner. So it's one workstation that people go to record their transactions. More access, you don't have to have Sage licenses to have ScanForce running on these things. It opens it up to more users to go ahead and capture that data and put that back in. You have the real-time tracking. You're actually seeing as those items are being used. So once again, production management has the ability to track what components are being used, but tying into that last point there, you're not having to wait on someone to write it down, which can be error prone, and then obviously data entry. People can make keystroke errors. So tracking it through ScanForce allows you to do it more real time and more accurately. Before I show you the actual solution here, I did want to touch on some future plans that we have for manufacturing. I touched on this earlier, but ScanForce was waiting for this release of production management. There really didn't make a whole lot of sense for us to go ahead and do things within work order, knowing it was going away. Now that production management is out there, we have some plans for the future. So the first one, and this is in order, but no specific release dates. I want to be clear with that one, but these are 2021 releases. First one is a make to order. What this is the ability to actually create work tickets directly from sales order entry in Sage. The next one is bringing graphical widgets to our dashboards. We already have dashboards. They tie into things such as order status when you're doing a pick, pack, ship. But we're going to bring the graphical widgets over for the easy viewing of work ticket status and things of that nature. Scheduling is another one. And the last one I have here is viewer's choice. Now, it's important for us, and we feel important for the market, to pay attention to what people want. Scheduling ties into this. We've heard from some of our partners, and we value their information as far as what they're looking for in a scheduling solution, but we want to hear from as many people as possible. What would that look like to you? Is that important to you? Or again, the viewer's choice, and I say that in jest kind of, but I mean it in terms of wanting to hear from you. What would you like to see? What is maybe not out there? What would make your life easier, and what could we enhance upon? So we'd love to hear from you guys, really. You can email me. My email will be up there at the end, or set up a call to review anything that you guys would want to see. All right, now let's get into what everybody's actually here for and have been listening for 15 minutes waiting for, is the actual demo here. So I'm going to get out of my PowerPoint, And what I have up here is an emulation of the ScanForce mobile screen. Again, no matter what device you're running this on, it could be iOS, Android, doesn't matter. You could have this on a PC or a stationary tablet, like I mentioned. First thing you're doing is logging in. I want to stress again, this does not take up a Sage license, and our licensing is tied to devices, not actual individual logins. An example, you could have 10 devices needing 10 licenses from us, but 25 people could be sharing that logging in. It's only going to cost you the 10 device licenses. So you log in, it can be password protected. You can indicate what company you're working in. I don't have a password set, so I'm going to tap accept. And of course, you'd be tapping on a touch screen with your finger if you wanted to. I'm navigating using the mouse though. Here is our main menu, clean, easy to navigate. I'm going to go into manufacturing, and I do have my bill of material transactions on here. I'm not going to get into those today. If you're not using bill of materials, you obviously wouldn't see those. You would always see the transactions that you want to see. So I'm going to start off simply just doing a material issue. So my work order or work ticket, I'm sorry, is actually in my Sage system now. I'm going to launch the transaction, and this is where you could print off almost like a traveler and scan that if you wanted to, key it in, or do a lookup that connects up real time to your Sage system. Here's the one we're going to work on. There are multiple steps. You could go ahead and choose those, or it defaults to the first step. I only have one step in this work ticket here, but again, this is where you'd indicate the step number, indicate your warehouse. And now I go through my items. So it's telling me what I'm needing to make here. Now I can start scanning items. I also can do a lookup here, and it shows me the items that I need to go ahead and grab. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and grab the chair base for making this desk chair. Select my item. Again, I want to stress scanning is the fastest way. You can go ahead and scan these things. But what it'll do now is I have multi-bin installed. So it's asking me what location I want to pull this from. With non-multi-bin, obviously, it's not going to ask for a bin. It can only be in one bin without multi-bin. But what you see here is I have this in two locations. 100A may be the main location out in my warehouse, but if I did that staging where I have items moved over to production, now I can say, all right, great, I'm moving it out of my production bin. Or maybe I needed to go ahead and grab it out of my main location. Bottom line is it's referencing the multi-bin tables to tell you here, hey, where you have this item and how many you have. So I have 19 available here and 46 here. I'm going to select production bin and then go ahead and indicate my quantity. You'll see it tells me what I need to pick based on how many there are in the bill for this item. I'm going to go ahead and grab all 10 of these for the material issue. If I do my lookup, you'll see that item drops off. So as you go ahead and grab these items for material issues, they drop off. If any of these were lot or serialized, it would also be asking for and validating my locate or my serial number or lot number as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab from my actual location here instead of production. You're not forced either way. Indicate my 10 and continue on. And once again, those items drop off. Now, let's say I only grab those two for right now. To push this data back over into my Sage system, I'm simply going to hit this arrow here, which, by the way, I do have a clipboard, which allows me to go in and adjust something. If I collected this data and said, wait a minute, I needed to change this, the user does have some flexibility there to go back and make an adjustment then. I'm going to hit the send data. This gives me an overview screen. I've collected 2 records, and ScanForce categorizes any line, whether it's in this material issues here, we do the same thing on the shipping side. Any line that's not completely used is categorized as unresolved. The idea is to give the user an idea of, hey, listen, you didn't grab everything that you're supposed to, and that's okay, but we're going to give you a warning here. The reality of this in application is nobody stops here and looks at this. They hit send data, so we give you an actionable dialog box that tells the user, all right, I got to do something here. I have these 2 unresolved lines. If I thought that I had grabbed everything for this work ticket, I can hit review and then go back and grab the remaining items. Or, you know what, I just grabbed 2 for right now. I'm going to go back, get them later. Hit your send button. That's going to go ahead and connect up and now put that back into production management in my Sage system. Now, I'm only going to go over to the Sage the one time to show you this stuff, so I'm going to go ahead and do a completion really quickly here as well. This is pretty straightforward. Again, you could have back flushing turned on if you wanted to, or it's just simply saying, okay, I'm going to go ahead and within this work order here, grab my work ticket, put a location. Now, here's something where when you're completing items, again, I have multi-bin set up, so it's asking me for a location. A lot of times we have people that maybe set up a bin called completed, and then you can do things within multi-bin like a put away report or a replenishment report that tells you now where should I stock these items. Really, that's only coming into play when you're building for stock, but again, it's a process. You can put these into completed, almost like a quarantine location before you make them available to actually be used on sales orders. And I'm going to say I completed 5, send that back over to my Sage system. And then if I pull up my Sage system here now, and I'm going to go into, here's production management. I'm going to go into work ticket transaction entry. I have batch processing turned on, so I'm going to grab my batch here. and the transactions are right here. So here's the material issues. This is actually a little small. Hopefully you all can see this here. First one, here's the material issue, and here's the completion that we did. So I'll just pull up the material issue, go to lines, and you'll see here's what we issued. So again, seamlessly, instantly creates the transaction back in your Sage system. So as I mentioned during the PowerPoint side of this, speed is important. You need to see what's being used. And again, instead of having to write this down, hand it back in for data entry, or have somebody out in the actual shop floor area logging into Sage and doing this, capturing it through ScanForce is easy to use and instantly puts it back here. Now, the final transaction that we've done here is the applying labor. So this goes into here, I'll do this. This goes into labor entry here. ScanForce can add it to the labor portion here under transaction entry. The way it's set up currently is a labor entry here. Something I could have had a slide on is the difference between the two. The difference is under the time here and labor entry, you can actually have this assigned to an actual employee or crew. Up here, from a transaction entry standpoint, it's simply just applying labor to the work ticket. Now, again, since we have this tied to an employee or crew, I'm going to do both of these for you to show you how these look. So labor tracking, this is simply going to apply labor to a work ticket, but you can do it by employee or you can do it by crew. So I'm going to do it by employee here, and you can scan this if you want to or select your employee ID here, indicate the work ticket. Let's go down and use the one I was using before. The step, you're applying the labor to a particular step. And here you go, it defaults to the current time. So let's go ahead and say, all right, I worked an hour on this then. So I can actually go in here and say, all right, change that to 1. I can have the option to say how many I completed, let's say 5, and is the step actually completed? I can check that off there. You don't have to do these bottom 2 options here. You can simply just record the time that you worked on this, save it, and then send it over. So that's one method. If I go back here, the time clock is, again, a clock in and clock out. Now, this can be limited so that you cannot clock into multiple work tickets at the same time or multiple steps, or you can allow someone to do that. Some of our customers, they're logging into one step on a work ticket, and then they're going on and working on something else. So it's not payroll, obviously, but it is allowing you to track labor, multiple labors being applied to each one of those things they're working on. But again, we can limit that. So the first thing you do is indicate who you are, what work ticket you're wanting to apply your time to, what step, and here's where it offers you the clock in. So I'm going to say, yep, I want to clock into this. All right. Now, what I would do is when I want to clock out, I simply go back in, grab my work ticket, and my step, and it automatically knows that and wants to clock me out. Now, this would be a little bit weird in terms of how much time somebody's applying to this, but you get the idea of a clock in, clock out. Ultimate result is the same as that data entry step I showed you prior to this. It's an either or typically option. This is just easier for an employee to basically have my clock in, clock out. I'm not worried about entering my time in. It keeps track of it for me. Clock out, and upon clock out, that automatically sends it back. I don't have to then go do anything else in a transactional standpoint. We import that back in. Now, we're running a little short on time here. I do want to go ahead and open this up for some questions, but I want to show you guys one other aspect of what we're doing here. So this is a part of our management console and where our dashboards reside. And the reason I want to show you guys this is there's a lot of reporting that can be done off of this. This is every bit of information that's being captured either on a mobile device or, again, like I said, a stationary PC or stationary tablet. Everything that's being captured within ScanForce and then sent back to Sage is captured here. So you'll see here, and I'll just go through a few of the columns here. You have a time and date stamp on this. The alias is actually the device that it was captured on. So you can see that detail. What scanner or what device did somebody do this on? Who was it? Company, transaction type, by the actual code here or the actual name, what item it is, on and on and on. So what you can do is you can actually search for transactions or see who's done what. So I can look by user, and if you look up here, all right, there's this all, that's looking at all transactions, but you can actually save your own sort or filters if you want. So if I want to look by user and transaction, only user here is ScanForce because it's a demo environment, but I can see by user and then go ahead and look by certain transactions as well here. You can save these. Again, you can set up however you want. There's even the ability to look up a lot of serial numbers. So if you want to look up a finished product then by serial number, you'll be able to see all the other components that are tied to that as well for lot serial. There's even, if you're tracking what sales order a work ticket was for, you could search by that sales order and see the transactions. And if you simply just want to start searching for something, then you could go ahead and start typing in any of these fields up here, and it'll start to filter that down for you then, so you can actually see them and sort that way. You can drag and drop columns. Bottom line is it's extremely customizable, and it's all this data here at your fingertips to build whatever reports you want. If you want to save these as reports and then export them, there's an export button over here. And you can choose what method you want to export these out as. So if you want a printed copy or just save it as a PDF to be used, you can do that right from here, again, within our management console. All right. So I'm going to open it up now for questions. And my contact information is up here. We have a few minutes left. So if you guys want to, I ask you and encourage you to seriously email me, call me if you guys have any suggestions. Like I said, we're committed to building out manufacturing solutions, and we'd love to hear your feedback on that. So I'll open up now if there's any questions. And just chat them in the chat box there, and we can go ahead and address those as they come up.
Yes, put them in the questions panel, please. Steve, we do have a couple questions already. First one is it compatible with version 2020?
Yes, it is. Great question. Yes, it is.
That was easy. Okay, the second one is, so does it work with multi-bin? Just confirming.
Yes, yeah, to be clear on that one, the multi-bin that it works with is the DSD ScanForce multi-bin. So yes, the solution is compatible with multi-bin.
Okay, let's see. Looks like somebody raised their hand. Oh, here's a question here. Can you integrate with another WMS and push information?
The only other WMS that ScanForce integrates with at this time is Sage Intacct. Whoever's asking that, if you want to fire off an email letting me know what ERP system you're talking about. At this point, there is no immediate plans to integrate with other ERPs, although that is something down the road we will be doing. So yeah, if you don't mind, whoever's asking that, just shoot me an email and we can discuss offline then.
And it says, what about 2020 update? PU 2020 product update, I guess they're asking.
We're compatible with all the recent product updates and everything. So I don't know if that helps answer that question. If that's not specific enough, I hate to keep directing people to email, but email us if you have a specific question related to the product update that you're wondering if there's an impact on our software. But there isn't any that we're aware of.
Okay, I think we got them all. Not seeing any more. If I didn't answer your question, oh, here's another one. Product update 1 for 2020, where Sage introduced lot tracking.
I mean, ours is compatible. If you're talking about the expiration date tied to a lot number, yes, we are compatible with that as well. If I'm missing that, if there's something I'm not understanding there, but yeah, we support lot and serial traceability, and we do support the new release, which is the lot expiration date.
How long will the introductory price be offered?
We don't have a time limit on that, to be honest. It's one of those things that I would say it's almost a first come, first serve. I hate to be that way, but it is one of those things, if we get inundated with it, it may go away, or that may be permanent pricing for this. We're not entirely sure.
Okay, and I have another one. So make to sales order is now in production management with ScanForce solution.
That's not released yet. No, that's going to be a component that will be released in from the sales order module. When you're creating sales orders, you'll be able to trigger a creation of a work ticket. And there's more to that, and there'll be more information coming out on that one very soon, actually. It is going to be a 2021 release. I'll tell you, we're targeting Q1, but that's not a firm date.
All right, great questions. I'm not seeing any more here. Let me check the chat. Nothing in the chat. Oh, another question. Also, just to confirm, this is exclusively compatible with DSD's MB, not ScanForce, correct? Not some other one, correct? Any plans for it to be compatible?
No.
Okay.
Sorry, was that too fast of a no?
Okay, one more. You said one more. I don't see it though. Okay. Not seeing anything. Those were great questions, though. Thanks, everyone. I don't see any more coming in. Oh, yeah. He said one more. Are there desktop versions of the mobile apps?
Yes, yeah, I was worried I didn't stress that enough, but yeah, ScanForce can be run on a PC. We even have one of our customers that set up a Surface and they tied it to a pole and call it Lola. I don't know why, but they're actually dragging that around the warehouse and using that for production as well. So yeah, ScanForce can run anything: PC, a tablet, could be an iPad. I mean, iOS, Android, doesn't matter to us.
Okay, and that's without an emulator?
Well, it runs, no, I'm sorry, to be specific, it runs on the PC within our emulator, like you would see me demoing there, which again keeps the screens extremely clean and clear and easy to navigate through. I guess we could resize it just to make it huge, but there wouldn't be any additional information being displayed on the screen.
Okay.
And the emulator, there's no charge, additional charge for like an emulator or anything like that. We set that up.
All right, good questions. I think that's all, and we're at the half an hour, so.
All right. Well, once again, everybody, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me and watch this. Again, reach out. You guys didn't see her today, so thank you guys.